Shoot. Welcome back once again, everybody, to How to Thaumcraft with the Hittite. Now, last time I posed the question, what do you do if you want to have one large energized node to power everything you want in your building? Well, there are a couple of ways to do that. A couple of ways to shove extra vis into a node you want. The first and most reliable way is node bullying, whereby a large node will steal vis from a smaller node if they're too close together, usually within about 3 blocks. Now, how this happens is occasionally you'll see the lightning going, and that's it stealing vis. Now, about 1 time in 10, it'll permanently steal vis from one of the nodes, eventually draining it all the way and it'll disappear. The most efficient way to do this is to make a 7 by 7 cube with nodes at each of the corners, and the node you want to grow right in the middle. Now, if it's not terribly big, you can use a advanced node stabilizer to keep others from stealing from it, but let it be able to steal from others. Now, node bullying, while it is reliable, is slow, very safe, and really easy. In other words, completely lame. So, since we're doing Thaumcraft, we're going to take the hard option, and the awesomer one. We're going to tame a hungry node. Now, there's actually a couple of ways for you to jar a hungry node. There's the normal one. There's the advanced node jar, which is what I usually use. But if you don't have access to a Thaumic Tinkerer, you can surround it with obsidian, which it can't break down, and then use the equal trade focus to replace that with glass, and then very quickly jar it up. Not always reliable, but if it's what works, it's what works. Now then, once you have a hungry node where you want it, in this case I have it down at the bottom of a shaft to bedrock, what you want to do is feed it. Now, feeding a hungry node works basically the same as the deconstruction table from what I showed you earlier on, in that it'll break things down into their base aspects, and you only get one aspect out of each thing dropped. You can't just dump giant stacks down onto it and expect it to break down more than one of them, unfortunately. Now, fly back up my little mine shaft here, if I can get through that little hole. Apparently not right now. Hold on. There we go. Now, I've been feeding it workbenches because, again, those break down into each of the primal aspects, or can. I've been feeding it a lot. It was a fairly small node when I started. What I've got here is a hovering hourglass. It's actually from Botania. It'll send off a redstone signal every 3 seconds, or you can set it for anything you want depending on how much sand you put in it. I experimented with golems, but it didn't work all that well. Anyway, once you've got your hungry node as big as you want it, then can you energize it? No. It'll just eat the stabilizer and transducer and probably your base. First, you have to taint it. Because of the way the nodes are, it can either be tainted or hungry, but not both. And taint will override the hunger. I took a copy of that node I had there at the bottom of my shaft and put it here in my little taint biome, right above the old node there. It then destroyed and ate the old node and some of the ground and all of the tainted creatures I had sitting around. But eventually it tainted itself. See? Tainted node. It's not a guarantee how long it's going to take to taint the node. Can take minutes, can take hours, can take days. But, just something to keep in mind. The chunk it's in has to be active, and an active tainted biome is a spreading tainted biome, so A little bit of extra danger there. Let's jar this sucker up and get it back to base. There, that's a bit less laggy now, isn't it? From here, it's just a matter of energizing the node. Now we're just going to set it right down in the center here. Put it on top of a node stabilizer. Now you might want ethereal blooms or pure nodes around just to keep it from, you know, tainting up your base. Put a node transducer on top of that. And lever on top of that node transducer. Flip the switch and pop that jar. This can take a while. Booyah! We're all set up. And just like that, our wands are charging like crazy. Look at that. Just shoots right up. And that's how you do it, folks. That's how you get a giant energized node. This one is actually kind of small compared to some of the ones I've seen. You can get quadruple digits or even higher if you just keep feeding it. And it can run all sorts of things. It can run the, it can add more power to the infernal furnace, obviously, and that's not good. When it's energized, it really shouldn't be spreading taints. Hopefully the ethereal blooms will take care of that. Journey map isn't showing any taint, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be sending power to the infernal furnace. Anyway, it can run all sorts of things. Go ahead and explore on your own, and whatever you do, do not shut this off, because not only will it kind of explode and send flux everywhere, you'll have a tainted node right in the middle of your base again. And I think that's just about it. That's how you get that's how you tame and taint a hungry node. And I hope you'll join me next time when I move on to something else. I'm not really sure what. And hope you enjoyed this. See you next time, everybody.